This is Do It for a Living, your source for inside information on the future of automotive performance.
What I feel is the key to all of this is to being successful in this industry is when you do have your failure, you got to own up to it. You know, if you've done it, you own up to it, but you also got to look at it from many angles.
What's holding you back from starting or growing your business into what it can be? Well, if you're listening to this, it's not a lack of information. What you're about to hear is all you need to get motivated and start making waves. Do It for a Living podcast details the journey of today's true players in their own words. Find out how they broke out so you can too. The time is now. The time is always now.
Welcome back to another episode of Do It for a Living. I'm Kevin Dubois. This week we've got Howard Anderson of AR Fabrication. Howard runs a machine shop out in Virginia area, and he's been doing it for a very long time. And so if you notice some noises in the background occasionally, he does have machines running and guys working. So I apologize if that is something that happens, but it seems to be pretty good right now. So Howard, how are you doing right now?
Oh, I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. Yeah, this is a SEMA week, so Todd is out at SEMA, and I'm going to be seeing you tomorrow at World Cup Finals.
Yeah, where all the racing's happening.
Yeah, I was watching some live feed stuff today, and it was pretty exciting. Some of the cars are pretty quick, so actually most of them are very quick.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, definitely. I have not seen most of those guys race ever, because most of what we do is Texas 2K or Busher Shootout, and this will be my first one with a lot of Hondas, so excited to see those guys run. Why don't we go ahead and get started? Why don't you go ahead and kind of tell us about your background? You know, how did you get involved in cars and machining and building engines, and, you know, what is your background?
Well, in the early 90s, I was doing a lot of car stereo installations out of Miami, and I moved up here to Virginia and got started in doing it here locally. And towards the tail end of that, about 97, I decided I wanted to get out of that. And my hobby at the time was getting into some of the sport front-wheel drive racing. It really wasn't sport front-wheel drive, or named sport front-wheel drive then. You know, met some interesting people in the industry that were already there. And you know, it started from there. AR Fab LLC, or AR Fabrication LLC, didn't start till 2001.
Okay.
We were doing roll cages and paint work, like Sean Glazer, Extreme Motorsports, and Luis Carujo, Paradise Racing, and then myself. You know, we started out in the early days. You know, you couldn't call anybody for parts. You had to make them yourself.
The good old days, when nothing fits. Yeah. I think it's the same today, right?
Yeah. Still things don't fit. You know, still to this day. You know, everybody's got their own way of doing things, and when they sell this stuff off to the clients, not everybody gets the exact combination. You know, they're getting pistons from this guy, rods from this guy, and then they want us to put it together, and you know, things just still don't work out. You got to make it work.
Yep.
But yeah, you know, started out mostly fabrication, you know, and progressed on. And around 2005, I bought my first CNC machine, and that's when we started getting into block sleeving, because we were having a heck of a time, you know, getting sleeve blocks from across the country over to here. There wasn't very many, and you know, you had a couple other places, and they weren't what we were looking for. So I contacted the engineer, or the co-patent holder, Steve Demirjian of Race Engine Development. He designed the Dart and MID sleeve. I bought a machine that he had designed, went to his place, got some training. He came to my place, did some training, and that's when the engine building portion, or engine machining portion of our business started at that point.
That was 2005?
That was 2005.
Okay.
Yeah. So we progressed on from there. It was a business that was shared between me and my father. We had some bad luck with the industry when the
2008
economic downturn happened. So about 2010, I moved on. We sold the assets. We were able to stay from being bankrupt. And kept all the clients happy. You don't hear about that much. Most people run off with everybody's money.
Yeah, the worst kind.
It was more like the other way around. Nobody had the money to pay me for the work that we had, that we have already done, or the parts. So we moved on from there. Was able to sell everything, and I started Howard's Hot Rods Incorporated, and that's me and my wife in 2010.
And your wife is Brandy, for those who don't know. She's pretty awesome and does a lot of the work at the shop. She's intimately involved with everything you do there.
Right. She's going to like to hear that, Kevin.
Yep. She's the boss, I'm pretty sure.
She's definitely the boss around here. But so, we kind of played with HHR for a little bit. And then we'll just skip to January of 2012. I actually went on to work for a local machine shop here. Got some machining capabilities and some experience under my belt. We were doing aerospace stuff. And
this is like not engine machining. It's like actual a job shop.
Yeah, job shop, doing some parts. I'm making little trinkets for things that I'm not allowed to discuss.
Okay.
And I specialized with the wire EDM over there, and that was fun. Doing a lot of intricate parts and splines. We did a lot of remanufacture work for Trex, the people who make wood. I did a lot of extrusion dies. You'll see that early on my my Instagram. You'll see a lot of those photographs of some of the stuff that I was doing then. But in the background, people were calling me and asking me to do things. They knew that I had the capability still, and we were working on things in the driveway at the house. I'm sure probably 90% of the businesses out there in this industry probably have started one way or another in their garage or somewhere, basic. And we were just doing things for people we knew, people that wanted the work done by me and wanted to talk to my wife about purchasing parts because we still had all of our contacts and connections in the industry. Shortly after working at the local machine shop, I decided that I was going to build a building on my property. That was October 2012. We built a building. They said, hey, we'll put a couple lifts in it. We'll work on some of these Vipers. We're working on Vipers in the driveway, building engines for them. Wasn't the most optimum way of doing things, but we were working for friends, people that knew us, and we were able to put a building on the property, and with the help of friends. I have some really great friends out there. No, one of my best friends here, Chris, he neither one of us ever built a building before.
Bring a hammer. That's all we need, right?
Yeah. Got a big load of wood that dropped off. I had some blueprints, and I built the 32 by 50 building on my property within a matter of months on the weekends. And it's still here, it's still standing, works. It does the job. It's paid for.
The best kind of building, of course.
Right. You've been here. It was nicely lit. It's air conditioned. It's heated.
And the best thing is when it's on your own property, it's so convenient. If you need to go back and eat, you don't have to go out to eat. You know, it's convenient when everything is centrally located, and that's what was always my dream, to do that, have my own building on my own property right next to my house. But
and I know some very large companies that are in this industry that have very large buildings, very large businesses on their personal property near their home.
Mm-hmm.
Ours is a little closer to the house than we really want it to be, but we only have 3 acres out here. So, it works for us. It's a little tight at times. We have, beginning of the year, we will have 100 engines in here or more.
Mm-hmm.
And so it gets a little tight. We have a little storage building outside for overflow, but, it works out. After we built this building and I started we started working on some more cars inside the building, the machine work while I was working at the local machine shop started to pick up. And I decided at that point I probably should look into purchasing a CNC machine of my own. And the great thing about it is at that time, I didn't need to buy a dedicated block machine because I knew how to make the fixtures.
Okay.
So all the fixturing that was required to hold these engines, I made.
On the machine that you were going to use to do the blocks, huh? So you made the fixtures on the machine.
Yep.
That's funny.
So I actually started making some of the fixtures at work, some of the small stuff, so I can get away with, doing some Subarus and doing some Hondas, doing the bread and butter work. And then when I got the CNC machine in here in April of 2013, I spent some time with the machine and I started building larger fixtures.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, I brought in one of my old machinists that used to work for us, who now works over at Victory, Nick Britton. Nick worked for us over at the old AR Fabrication facility here in town many, many years ago. I've had some really talented people work for us, Nick being one of them, Tommy Marple being another, Eric Kidwell, many others, Brandon, all these guys have worked for us. They now have their own jobs. Nick works up locally here at Victory, but
and I like that you guys work together. Like you guys are both engine machine shops, but you collaborate on a lot of things. Like you help each other out where one has something that the other doesn't. You guys work together.
I mean, we need when somebody needs something from us, we can handle it, and when we need them to do some things, they handle it for us. It's not, where we rely on their business, their stuff. But
and you're not dogging it either. You're not driving yourself to the bottom to earn the business here. So
not at all. I mean, at least I don't think so.
I definitely don't think so either.
But he worked here for a year full time while I was still working at the local place, and by January 2014, that's when they were opening up that place, and obviously it's a lot more stability than just having a garage with a CNC machine in it at my house. So we parted ways at that point, and I came here to work full time. And at that time, that's when I decided that we were going to only do Darton MID sleeves.
Okay.
From that point on, we didn't become or sign a contract for Darton East till later on.
Okay.
But we stuck with Darton. I always liked Darton sleeves in the beginning. Mm-hmm. I can make a phone call to Steve, 12, 14 hours during the day, any point of the day, and ask a question if I need to. If we have any issues, we can, and he's more than willing to help whenever we need to, if we have a question, or a new block of some sort coming out.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that. The product itself is always exactly what is expected. We don't get different sleeves, different shapes, different, ideas of what's going on that day off the machine. I can expect the same sleeve that I had in my hands in 2005. I'm going to get it today. I'm going to get it tomorrow. I'm going to get it next year. I'm going to get the same exact design for that block. This way, when I have a client that says, hey, I need my sleeves replaced, I can do it. Mm-hmm. I don't have to worry about, well, we got to take the sleeves out of the block. We got to measure how we cut the block before, and we got to see, if we can get these sleeves machined, or, hey, maybe it's the same sleeve that, came from one of the other sleeve manufacturers. Porosity and other manufacturing defects are not anything that we see with Darton sleeves. So that's why I chose to stick with Darton, and we're going to stick with Darton, till the end of this business.
Awesome. And I sent all my stuff to you because you're the fastest turnaround with sleeves that I've had.
Yeah, and I'm not really that fast. I mean, I'm sure there's probably people listening that, say, wow, man, it took forever. But when it comes to a 4B11 or, some B series Hondas or, those things, it's in and out.
Yeah.
You get it in, you get it out. I don't want it sitting around for a while, and unless we're waiting on parts. If that's all we got to do is put sleeves in it and get it done, we get it done.
Yeah, I think I got a couple sitting there still that I need to send you parts for.
Yeah, we got a couple 4G63s here. I do have the sleeves for the one set. We got to get those in. I don't know. I'm waiting on your okay to move forward.
Okay, I'll have to do that here this week or so. I got heads to send you to. Anyway.
So after about a year of, about 2 years. Yeah, 2 years. I finally got fed up of doing this myself. I'm down here by myself. I have some friends, good friends that, they're bored. They're going to come down. My buddy Danny used to hang out, bring me breakfast every morning. He doesn't do that anymore. I don't know what he does in the mornings now. He's the GT500 engine we're building. But he used to bring me breakfast. He used to help me clean in the morning, but I got tired of doing that, and I finally asked Brainy to get back full time. That was in April 2016, so I asked her to come back work for me full time. In the past, she worked for me, up until AR Fabrication LLC dissolved. So she was full time. She took care of the front end of the business, and she actually was the smile, and she, contacted everybody and asked for their money, just as she does today. But now she not only does that, but we're gearing her up more and more to work in the shop. She likes working on the product that comes in. And she has her own tools and her own equipment. Matter of fact, we're buying her some more equipment at PRI this year.
Okay.
So she needs some upgrades.
She does a lot of the cylinder head stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she does. She likes doing all that lash work. I can't stand doing lash on Subarus. It just takes too long. So she does the pretty much all of the assembly work with that. And we have another employee that we brought in beginning of this year, Josh Del Corte. And when we brought him in, we had him doing a lot of the clean work. But he's had some past experience with assemblies, so he has the knack, the ability.
Yep.
So I show him something once or twice, and he picks it up pretty quickly.
Awesome.
And after a while, we didn't want him cleaning. The cleaning process is a big process here, so
I hear it going right now.
yeah. We brought in another local here, Colby.
Okay.
And his brothers worked for me in the past. He was another good guy, and we actually direct. He has his own business. We direct all the installations and engine removals and installations to his brother, Scott. But Colby works for us. He's our cleaning guy. So all he does is clean. It probably gets boring.
And by cleaning, for the listeners, you're not talking just sweeping the floors. You're like, you have an ultrasonic cleaner, you have a vac cleaner, they're like going through every single part that you have that goes into an engine, and you're cleaning it.
We have a strict process of cleaning here, and Colby is from start to finish. So when you send your engine here, Colby is the first person to touch it. So he'll get the box. He opens up the box. He will pull the componentry out, lay it out on a table. He will then take photographs using MSA of all the product that has shown up and the condition of it. And if it's not already in MSA, Brandy will generate a basic invoice. So there's an invoice number, and that's our serial number that gets engraved on every engine and every part. All the individual parts that we get from you or from any client gets in its own tote. We use clear totes so that we can see what's in the tote. We write notes on the totes using marker so that we know what's inside the box, what invoice it belongs to, and he does all that, and then he takes your greasy block and he cleans it. And part of the process is he needs to determine what we're going to do with the engine. Is it an engine where you are assembling, or is it an engine all we're doing is sleeving it? Because if we're doing anything more than just sleeving, there's a lot of processes that need to take place. We got to take out all the galley plugs and all the oil squirters and items like that, and we have to document all that. And we have our method of documenting when we take you're gonna laugh when we take oil galleries out of blocks, we mark the block. When we take them out of the head, we mark the head, so that when the customer says, hey, you did not put our gallery plug back in this head, we ask, is it marked around that hole? And if it's marked around that hole, it's our fault. If it's not marked around that hole, it isn't our fault.
And what Howard's getting at is I had an incident with I think it was a Evo 9 head fairly recently, where I put it all together, built the engine, put it in a car, and started it up, and it was pouring oil out of the cylinder head, because one of the plugs wasn't put in it from between the block and the head. So I had to take the head back off the car, which was a total pain in the ass. But
so we've run into this. We got to remember, we had a full shop, assembly and machine shop all in one with a dyno. We did, so when people dropped a car off, and at the time it was a Subaru, they would drop off an 05, an 06, an 07 Subaru. It would come through the door. It would be bone stock, have 0 miles on it, or a couple hundred miles, maybe a couple thousand. And we would completely tear the car down, take the engine, go right to our machine shop, do the work, get it done, put it back together. And we had an incident that when we had grew a little too fast, and we put too many people in the mix, and which a lot of shops have that issue.
Yeah, that's pretty common.
When you don't have QC and processes in place, then what ends up happening is the new guy screws up. The new guy doesn't put an oil plug in a Subaru head just behind the cam gear, and then we're priming the engine, and people start slipping all over the place because there's 5 or 6 quarts of oil on the floor. At that point, you look to how do we figure this out? And a local friend of mine, that runs another machine shop here, just a local reconditioning shop. He does a particular method, so we copied his method, and it works really well.
What I really love about what you do is you have so many processes in place for everything. You're not just winging everything you do. It's like, here's how we do it, and then you show your guys how to do it so they know how to do it, and this process is repeatable, and it reduces the mistakes that you make.
Right. And everything's got a redundant check, you know. So when this guy cleans everything, when Colby cleans all the components, he puts it on a cart, you know, it's a clean cart. He takes it and carts it over to a clean section of the table that he has cleaned off. He, you know, a lot of people see the videos that we do where everything is laid out all beautifully. You know, we do that with every engine. Everything that we do, everything gets laid out. And the reason why is when it's all laid out like that, and if Josh is assembling it or Brainy's assembling it or I'm assembling it, we can clearly see dirt, mistakes, a bad bucket, you know. Everything is super clean. You know, it's right there. It's right there in front of me. You know, if it's dirty when they pick it up, then it needs to get kicked back to the cleaning department. I mean, it happens, you know. There's just components that just don't get everything clean. You know, when we have a block that sits on a table or a head that sits on a table, the first thing that either Josh or Brainy does is they thoroughly inspect every gallery hole. Every hole. There's no plugs in anything. You know, all the plugs are laid out on the table. But there is no plugs in the block or the head. And they are using inspection tools, lights, and they're looking down and they're looking in the galley holes, you know, for dirt. You know, obviously there's some things that we just can't see. We try to use mirrors. We look down the holes. We light them. We want to see the bottom of the hole. It's kind of like cleaning a gun. You put a white piece of paper down at the end of the barrel and you look down the barrel and you see, hey, there is nothing down this barrel, you know, hanging off. Oh, look, there's some dirt on the side. We need to scrub this again. So, you know, there's redundant checks. You know, did the guy clean the job good enough? You know, obviously when we have him first starting out, we kick back a lot of parts. You know, hey, it's not clean. Hey, it's not clean. Hey, it's not clean. Finally, after a while, he gets it. He doesn't want to re-clean something because every time he has to re-clean something, he gets the look. You know, there's a, you know, somebody gives him a look. Nobody wants the look. You know, everybody's like, okay, I just want to do my job, get it done. And I want everybody to be happy with what I do, you know, and be like, hey, man, you know, that was a good job. You cleaned up that really well, you know, or hey, look, you know, there's still some silicone over here on this, you know, area. So he knows, you know, Colby knows what he needs to do now. You know, it was a slow start, but, you know, he's got it. You know, Brandy had the same start. She was cleaning for me. You know, when I brought her in, I'm like, you need to clean all this stuff up for me. I don't want to clean. You know, I don't want to scrub it and clean it, but I want to inspect it, and we're going to take a look at it. You know, and just keeping things very well organized and documented has been the key. And we really didn't start electronically documenting until we had you guys come in.
Yeah, the spring, I think. Or I guess it was early summer probably, huh?
Early summer, yeah. And I don't know how long I've talked to you about it.
More than a year for sure.
You know, to me, it seemed like, look, is it going to really make me more efficient? You know, is this amount of money that I'm going to spend to pay Kevin to come all the way out here and this monthly service, is it really going to help? And it was hard to swallow, you know, without really seeing it in action. And, you know, at first it was, you know, you came out, you set up a lot of stuff. I still don't prefer using it. I just want to grab the next block and throw it in the machine and start it. But everyone else here is on the program, and everybody's got their own iPad. You know, I have part-time guys that work here. Matter of fact, that's why we're here late now. We got one of our part-time machinists, Chris Dollar, running now, and he's got an iPad. And we have another cleaning guy that comes in during the winter months, and that's Daniel Welsh. He's another local. He is very, very thorough with cleaning. So when he comes in the next couple weeks, when he starts his winter session, Colby, you know, is going to learn some more advanced cleaning techniques, and hopefully we'll get the efficiency where we want it to be. You know, our busy season is right around the corner. You know, after this World Cup finals and Christmas, we just get a tremendous amount of work from all over the world. because of the darkness leaving process that we offer.
And with it being winter, it's a good time to take your car down for most people, huh?
Yeah, I mean, you would think that they would start doing it now, right after World Cup finals, but normally everybody waits. They do the Christmas thing. They leave the car in the trailer until Christmas break is
Until
over,
a week before
right
Texas 2K, right?
right? Yeah, I mean, it's always a last minute, and we get overloaded with a lot of work. Right around January and February, it becomes overwhelming, and we didn't have MSA. So, MSA is going to allow us to track things. We're learning that it allows us to track things a lot better. And then when you have the client that calls and says, "Hey, you never sent me back my whatever,"
yeah, have
my
pictures
pistons. Of it. When I got my block, we opened it up. Well, it's been 2 months since you've had it. When you open up the box, you didn't see your pistons. Did we bore it? No, we didn't bore it. Why did you send the pistons to us? Well, I just sent them to you. And then now we look back at MSA and, there's no pistons in any pictures in the box. and we send them the information and they go, "Oh, well, I must have misplaced them."
Yep.
And
another one of those checks that keeps you from having to buy somebody pistons that they never sent you in the first place, right?
Right. And, or you're in the middle of a build and you're like, "Where's the head studs?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you do that to me all the time. Send me studs.
Where's the head studs? Yeah. Send me studs. I need the hardware. We need the hardware. We don't want to use, somebody else's hardware on yours, because then that's how that gets screwed up, And then we also don't want to keep reusing in-stock hardware, 10,000 times, using the same stud in the same block. We're not going to get the same results as a brand new stud. So especially when we're doing line homes, especially on these 4B11s, the hardware is intricate. I'd rather just use the hardware once or twice during the mock-up and then, doing the final build on those. So I don't want to have a set of those sitting here in stock. And on the 10th block that Kevin sends me, one of the studs finally breaks in the block. And then I'm calling Kevin, "Hey, man, we got a problem." Kind of like the 4B11 you sent me for the line hone and didn't tell me it had an incorrect cap.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew it didn't fit. I didn't realize it was the incorrect cap.
Right, yeah. It definitely didn't fit by 4.5 thousandths. But we definitely we were able to correct that for you.
I saw it was beautiful.
Took a little bit extra time, and we sent you a video. I wanted to mock it up, make sure I didn't want to send that block all the way out to you. Mm-hmm. And then you say, "Hey, we still can't make this work." So we mocked it up, and it works with half and half bearings, H and HX bearings, good clearance, crankshaft rotated real nice and slick. And we like to do that, with all of our builds. We ensure we're not just looking at clearances. We're making sure that, that crankshaft's nice and straight, and it doesn't have a bunch of run out that's causing bearings to scuff. I'm not quite sure very many shops are doing that, or maybe they're starting to do it lately. We've been doing that for a very, very long time.
I honestly don't think enough people do it because of how much time it takes you to do. And I don't see how some of these shops make money doing it, whereas you charge for what you're doing. So it's obviously far more expensive than everybody else. But I think the quality is so much higher because you're doing all these checks and you're doing all the cleaning and you have all the processes in place. Like, the cost is justified. And honestly, I always thought the machine shop industry or the machining industry has kind of shot itself in the foot by undercharging for everything. And I like that you're charging what it takes to do it.
Right. And one of the things is, we get complaints about it. Hey, you're expensive. I understand. We're expensive. We're not your shop. There's plenty others out there. And, well, my buddy said you're the guy. Well, all right, okay, we're the people, right? And and then they swallow it, and then they reap the benefits. Mm-hmm. Today, I got a message, "Man, I'm so glad I had you do the entire engine. Everything's been smooth, and I can ask questions. What kind of oil do I need to use? Coming up here soon, I'm going to put more power to it. It's winter time. And I answer the questions. I think I have to do that, to a point. I can't hold everybody's hand, forever. Sometimes I got to let some people go, but if we're slow, we'll give some discounts out, but we haven't been slow.
Yeah, but you're pretty busy even when I was there, so.
Yeah, I mean, we have slower months, but at the old place, I remember like sweeping the floor with everybody and going, man, go home. We got nothing to do. There is nothing here. What are we going to do? And being scared, and well, what's next? And then when somebody comes in, pulls in the driveway with the eBay turbo kit and their parents, I mean, we're talking OBX, Honda turbo kit, and we got nothing on the books, and mom and dad's willing to pay us $1,500 to do an installation and tune it. And then, we get going on it and nothing fits. And we're fabricating everything, welding, and, it takes you all week.
But when you're sweeping like, the floors, you'll take anything, right?
yeah, when you're sweeping the floors, you will take anything. But, that was a learning curve is, what? Maybe we should just sweep the floor longer. We're not going to do those kind of jobs anymore. So I'm glad that we're in a position where we don't have to take everything that comes to the door.
Okay.
And, when you see a project that you see it coming, you just stand your ground and you put the price out there that it's going to cost to do that particular job, because that job's going to be a real pain. And if the customer says that they're okay with spending the additional money for working on that project, then we'll do it, and we'll do our best job that we possibly can on it at all times. We won't do a half-ass job here. If a half-ass job gets done here, then it slipped through the cracks and I didn't know about it, or it's one of my old-time buddies that needs the, hey man, racing, it's World Cup is tomorrow, and I need you to just get this done. And I'm, all right, we'll get her done. We're not going to worry about too much on cleaning, right? Is that what you're talking about? I mean, we built engines at World Cup finals, and they run. I mean, you don't have to be this thorough, but man, when your name is on the line, for an engine going to a shop in some other country, or anywhere in the United States that is another well-known shop, you got to make sure that stuff is on point and correct. And when the shop is asking me to lower the price a little bit more so they can make a little bit more and make the sale, I can't cut any corners to help save that money for you. I'm really taking a big hit, when I reduce the price down, and I do something as a favor for somebody. Mm-hmm. I do some favors for some of these guys from some of these shops, but I don't do it very often. So, because if I did, I would have all that work in here like that. I'd have to reduce my cost on everything.
Right. Do you think of yourself as an entrepreneur?
Of course. Do you know the definition of an entrepreneur?
I do, as of before this thing started.
So yeah, I mean, basic definition is one who organizes, manages, and assumes the risk of a business. Everyone that assumes the risk of a business is an entrepreneur, whether they know it or not. It's just a big word, but yeah, I'm an entrepreneur.
Okay.
I assume the risk every day.
And do you ever think about going back, when you took the risk to quit your job shop and do it on your own, what wanted you to just work on your own rather than working for somebody else?
To be honest, I really didn't want to work on my own anymore. I mean, I've been working on my own since 97 up to 2012. Mm-hmm. From 2010 to 2012, I got burned pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I was tired, you know. I have my own way of doing this stuff. Some people agree, some people disagree, you know, the processes and the way I do things. But I didn't want to get back into it anymore.
Okay.
And I was going to stick it out at the job shop, and I just kept doing more and more of it. And then I was like, you know what? I can't get away from it. I love it. I got to do it. So my health at the time, I was having some issues. You know, it's an old job shop. They got some very, very old equipment, and you know, obviously there's chemicals and whatnot going on in any job shop. It's not very well ventilated, and molds and stuff. So it was really affecting, you know, my health. And so I decided to resign from there. I gave them like 60 days notice to try to help find somebody to run the wire EDM, and we actually moved it to the other shop, and I showed the owner's son. I guess he's one of the owners, and showed him how to use it, and set up some jobs, and slowly walked out that door and transitioned into my own again. And,
okay. But you had done it before, so it wasn't new to you.
It wasn't new to me, but this time around, you know, because of what went on towards the tail end of LLC and a
lot more careful.
I've been a lot more careful in how I've made my decisions with working with people. You know, I don't allow anybody to tell me how to do things at all. I mean, let me fail on my own. Let me screw up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to have somebody else helping me do that this time around. And we, Brain and I, when we structured the business, we made sure that we set forth processes already set up in our QuickBooks, you know, little packages, and how we're going to the accounts and how we're going to watch all of that.
Okay.
So we did it basic, and as the years have progressed, we've gotten a little bit more detailed with it.
Okay.
You know, in the beginning, it was how many blocks did we sleeve? Okay. Now we track how many Honda B series, how many 4B11s, how many 4G63s, how many RB26s. So at the end of the year, I can look at how many blocks I'm sleeving, how many blocks did the customer send the sleeves, how many did we supply the sleeves, and how many individual blocks are we doing, Subaru and whatnot. That's why I know where we should invest in. Hey, if we bought 20 sets of sleeves and we saved on the shipping of some sort, you know, can we make a little bit more money? You know, can we free up some money? You know, how many sleeve Subaru blocks do we do in a year? You know, I call it 50 blocks in a year. Could I stand to purchase 50 sets of sleeves at the beginning of the year? And how much am I going to save?
Right.
You know, and we do that with everything. We do that with cardboard, with the boxes. You know, how many boxes did we ship out this year? You know, so how many do we need to buy from a box company? You know, does it make sense to buy all of them in January, or does it make sense to do it every quarter? You know, so we go through there. We try to free up money, free money. You know, by doing that, by looking at what our major quantities are. But setting up the business.
So did you guys write a formal business plan?
No, I just know that.
It sounds like you did more than most, though, because you said you did go into QuickBooks and you set up accounts and you've got processes in place, and you know you've got a good idea of the growth of the business. So, I mean, you're leagues ahead of most people. You're not winging everything, right?
When I first started in 2000, I had no plan whatsoever. You know, I mean, it's like, all right, you know, now I know that I want to sleeve, you know, 400 engines a year. how many hone jobs can we add to that? How many upgraded head stud, sizes, how many, like, can we go to 1/2-inch head studs, or, how many of those processes can we add? How many line hones can we add? I know that when I need to purchase another piece of equipment, I know what I need to do to generate the income. When we bought this cylinder hone, we were outsourcing cylinder honing to a good friend of ours, and the return on the investment of buying this expensive cylinder hone was just not there. Not with the amount of blocks we were honing, but we were not selling the hone job. We were just, hey, yeah, we could sleeve the block. And if the customer asked if we can hone it, we would say, yes, we can hone it, and we would charge. Now, when we're sleeving a block, hey, we can hone your block, without delaying your turnaround time. We have the hone. So our penetration has changed.
Okay.
Did we jump the gun on buying the machine, but prior to knowing whether or not we were going to have the return on our investment? Yeah, we jumped the gun. But one of the things is our outsource to that, our guy that was doing it was telling me that he couldn't handle the volume. So once he stated that he couldn't handle the volume and that we needed to look into our own way of doing it, I decided to purchase a cylinder hone.
Okay.
And that's where we're at with the seat and guide machine right now. Okay. We need to purchase a seat and guide machine. There's no ROI on buying a new one. Those machines are very, very expensive. And at the quantity of amount of heads that we do, we would definitely
never
have an issue. Yeah. Okay. We would not make the money on that. Not unless we really started to increase the price of the head work that we did. And our head work's already fairly expensive. We spend a lot of time on what we do. But we're looking at other brands. Surdy is one that we're really looking at right at the moment. We need to replace some other equipment that is old. We do have some used equipment in here. We are upgrading our balancer this year, going to something a little bit more robust. Same company, Tim Whitley down there at TNS. He's doing us a larger setup, and we're looking at another thing here. We're looking at an engine dyno, and there's some real serious thought here in putting an engine dyno in. So those are going to be the upgrades for 2018. Okay. Seat and guide, some upgrades to some machines we already have, replacement for some older machines, valve grinder, and this engine dyno.
So a very methodical approach to growing the business.
Yeah, the only thing that's not methodical to the whole deal when you look at all that, the valve grinder needs replacing. It's when we do valve lash, it's on for hours and it gets hot. So it's time for something newer so it can stay, continuous duty cycle like they're intended for. The balancer, that's just a small upgrade. Buying the 30 is really Brandy's new machine, and she'll take it from there, and we'll end up doing a lot more head work. Okay. And we are doing a lot more head work now. The engine dyno, absolutely no ROI. That is a tool in the toolbox, as I put it. I have no plans to tuning anybody's engine, to make or charge any money to anybody for purchasing that piece of equipment. That piece of equipment is solely for my research and development. And if somebody wants to bring their engine in and break it in and tune on there, they're going to be renting it. It won't be cheap. But in the past, I've done that with my chassis dynos. I used to tune a lot of cars, and then I decided that I just was going to tune the ones we built. That's why we, didn't have, the liability was missing. It was gone then. I didn't have some guy up the road bring in some car that was going to fly apart on the dyno, like like they always do, and smoke and carry on, and it's because of the tune or something that I did, or I mean, I'm sure everybody rolls their eyes on that one.
Yep.
But I just want the engine dyno for questions that I have. When somebody says you need to do it this way, I need you to do a clearance of some sort my way, not your way, Howard. I want to know why. And they're not telling me why. So I will put an engine together and I will put it on my engine dyno and I will find out why. And, we've run into that recently. And, I've always wanted one. So I'm looking to buy one this year. I don't know if it'll happen, but it might.
Okay, let's take a quick break here, and then I want to get into more of some of your time at the shop a second. We all know owning a shop is difficult, so we created My Shop Assist to help you manage the various jobs. Whether you run a machine shop, a performance tuning shop, build off-road trucks, or even do powder coating, My Shop Assist can help you. It is completely online and will help you schedule the jobs, log time on each task, track parts orders, and take pictures of the work. You can even export your jobs from My Shop Assist into QuickBooks as invoices. So if you're interested to improve operations at your shop, check out myshopassist.com to start your 30-day free trial. All right, Howard, how many hours a week are you actually working? Because you have a family too, so you have kids and obviously the wife who works there with you, but Your kids are at school, right?
Right, they're in school. So at 8:30 they get on the bus out front, and then we Brandy and I trek down here, and we already got guys that are in here working. So we try to start our day at 9 a.m. A lot of times I'm getting text messages and phone calls first thing in the morning from clients and the like prior to even putting the kids on a bus, and we're handling that, both Brandy and I. The mornings are a little slow going. There's a lot of emails and, hey, we need to make some phone calls. And then, I'll get to work. I look around, I talk to the guys, I find out what they're doing, what's on the docket for the week. Josh controls the MSA currently, so he's got a weekly schedule going on with how he wants things done. And he'll ask me, hey, man, I need you to sleeve this block on Tuesday, and then I need you to do this on Thursday. He'll have everything kind of situated, and I'll work around that. I'll get some of those jobs done, and then I'm helping these guys out. Whether we have a piece of equipment that goes down and I have to do the maintenance on it, or answering questions for Brandy or Josh or Colby or Dollar or anybody. That's my job. And then my job doesn't end. These guys leave here. Josh normally leaves about 6 o'clock. Tuesdays we're here till about 10, 11 o'clock at times. And then, or Thursdays, I'm sorry. Thursdays we're here, till 10, 11 o'clock. And then every other Saturday, it hasn't been optional lately. It hasn't been optional all year, but every other Saturday we have been here working, a full day. Josh and I will come in the morning. Josh will leave here about 7 o'clock, and I'll stay here with Dollar till probably about midnight, sometimes 1 a.m. Sometimes he runs till 2, 3, 4 in the morning. But as far as the work week, it seems to me that I'm going about 70, 80 hours every week.
Okay.
Whether it's working behind a machine or on my phone, messaging people and handling business in some shape or form.
Does the pay justify the time spent?
Yeah. I mean, I have cars. I have a brand new truck. I have nice medical care. I have a paycheck. My wife makes more money than I do. I was giving myself a raise at the beginning of the year that was substantial, and decided not to because I was taking on a risk by bringing in Josh Del Corte in the beginning of the year. I flew him in from Texas. I actually paid to have him
relocate.
I relocated him. I've never done that before. So I decided to not take my paycheck increase. I am taking a paycheck, and it covers my cars, my insurance, and all the little perks that I have. And I'm going to World Cup Finals tomorrow. We're going to be eating prime rib that we're going to be cooking over at Jason Parks' pit. So you're invited over.
Okay, I'll be there.
Yeah. So I mean, there's perks to it, and I could survive on my pay and Brandy's pay. I mean, when you combine pay, it's a very decent salary for a couple with 2 children.
Cool.
And we own our property.
You pay
our
for the
mortgage.
machines as you go too, which I thought was awesome. You're not just buying everything you can on loans. You're paying for them as you go, right?
Yeah, I mean there's leases.
Yeah,
but we don't extend ourselves. But we don't. We have leases that are being paid off at the end of this year, in December, the last payment. We know how much money that is, and that gives us the ability to go back to the leasing company and say, hey, we would like to get these machines, and we know that based on your little calculator, that our payment's going to be no more than what we're already sustaining at a fixed cost,
Mm-hmm.
And we're paying off all of the cleaning equipment, which we've had on lease for 3 years. So the ultrasonic cleaner, the hot tank, and we got a toolbox on there, and a soda blaster. All those, are being paid off at the end of the year. So that opens up. We either do one or two things. Hey, look, there's extra money to put in the kitty, or it's been a fixed cost for 3 years. We're not struggling. Let's just go get another lease, and we're gonna do that. If by any chance anything just goes wrong, it's a lease. We can tell them we can't utilize the equipment anymore, and they will come get the piece of equipment. Now, is there penalties and whatnot involved in that? Yes, but I'd rather, incur penalties than, making payments to something that we just can't afford anymore.
Right.
Well, I prefer leases over anything, and
they're expensive
and I like
machines.
To keep and I like to keep my cash flow in the bank.
Yeah.
For when something goes wrong. When you have a brand new CNC machine that's about ready to go out of warranty, a 2-year warranty out of this Haas, and the computer goes bad, which it did last month, that's a $4,500 hit. I had to, this year we had to buy $6,000 worth of tooling for the hone right out of the kitty to keep moving forward with hones. We can't hone anything unless we spend this $6,000. Okay, let's do it. Those mistakes happen, or whether it's a mistake or a piece of equipment goes bad,
mm-hmm.
It happens, and you got to have your cash flow available in order to do that.
Right.
I would rather have cash flow in the bank and owe a leasing company for a piece of equipment than having no cash flow in the bank, no capital in the bank, and having this machine staring me in the face when I could just be making payments on it.
So the one of the big reasons we wanted to do this interview was you wanted to talk about shipping stuff. It's obviously very difficult to ship engines and components for engines. What do you suggest for shipping a block?
A good friend of mine, Darcy, he works for a shipping company, and he came to work for me for a little bit for time in the mornings, and he's helping me out with making the business lean and organizing and this whole shipping thing. He says, Howard, if it moves, if you put it in the box and you can shake the box and it moves inside the box, it's never going to make it to the destination in one piece. When we package a block, we could put it in an 18 by 18 by 18 box, and it'll make it to your business. A 4G63 probably won't, but an aluminum block, 75-pound block, is going to make it without any damage. Okay. It will take the way we package them it will take a hit being dropped out of the back of a UPS truck.
Mm-hmm.
We try not to use UPS because we've had issues in the past with them not getting our products to the destination in one piece. We use FedEx. We have yet to have an issue using FedEx. But if you can put enough padding, and UPS specifies that when you have a heavy object, that it needs to have 2 inches of heavy, high-density material, whether it's foam or cardboard, around it. So we put several layers on the bottom, we put several layers on the front and the back, the sides. We use that 1-inch honeycomb. We put 1-inch honeycomb on the top and the bottom. And we really pack them in nice and tight inside a box. Now, we also offer the totes. And the totes are great for your jobs, not the yellow lid totes that you send from Lowe's. Those don't last with 4G63s in them.
Right.
But
yeah, they're too heavy.
the heavy flip tops. So we have several heavy flip tops here. They're plywood lined on the bottom to keep them from breaking through. And we put the 4G63s or short blocks in those. We also have crates that we have manufactured ourselves here. That we utilize for sending long blocks and short blocks and 4G63 blocks. But cranks, heads, if it can move inside the box, peanuts, popcorn, the little bubbly stuff, whatever, all that, it's never going to make it. Okay. and the worst problem about it is we see shops that know better, shops that ship engines for a living, that they do their own engines themselves, ship us a crankshaft, free inside of a box. There's been numerous times that we've had to contact the other end of the job and say, hey, the crankshaft is destroyed or the block is destroyed. We post pictures on our website. Our website is just a landing site. It shows some Instagram stuff on the face, on the front, but it mostly pretty much tells you how to ship your shit.
Yeah. So do you approve of my boxes? Because I used a Tough Tote set. So not the yellow lid ones from Home Depot. I went and bought the way heavy duty, double layered plastic one. And for the 4B11s, I can stick them in there with foam all around them, top, bottom, all sides. And then you zip tie the whole lid shut and tape it and shrink wrap it. Is that approved? Is that Howard approved shipping?
As long as it doesn't move inside, we're in good shape.
Okay, good. Because you send it back to me in the same tote, which means it must be that or decent enough, right?
So what ends up happening is when you send something really nice, we tag it.
Okay.
And then MSA obviously nowadays is tagged that you sent this really nice tote. So it needs to go back in that same tote unless it's destroyed.
Right. If FedEx didn't do their job. So I encourage everybody to go to Howard's webpage and look at how to ship engine components properly, because I've gotten them here. 2 people have sent me boxes, and I've gotten a box with a block and a loose head sitting on top of it with nothing between them. And it's just, you scratch your head what are you thinking when you do this stuff? And it came from another shop. And it's mind blowing. So,
yeah, I mean, you get the block, and then you get the crank in a box. It's a brand new crank. It's in a box, Subaru, whatever. And the crank is on top of the bearings from ACL, wedged in between the block casting and this crankshaft is the package of bearings, smashed, obliterated. Nothing you can do with it. It's garbage. We see this kind of stuff all the time. But the thing about it is to notify the client immediately.
Right, that they shipped it wrong and it got damaged. So that way you don't have the liability for it.
Yeah, you don't, and that's the thing I stress to Colby is, look, when you're unboxing it, you need to pay attention to what's going on. You have got to look for damage, because if it's damaged and we send it back and we're like, the ear was broken off the back of the bell housing or something, and who cares? The guy I've seen stuff come to us that somebody's cut the webbing out of the block. A lot of Honda blocks, they need to make room for turbos and stuff. So they're all carved out sometimes. Subaru, same thing. But, sometimes you see a little ear broke off and you look at it and you're like, if that was my car, I'd put that in there, right? Well, the thing is, you don't see the ear broken off in the box. That means the ear was broken when that customer stuck it in there. So if you just shrug that off as, the guy sent us this thing broken like this little ear. And then you get the job done and you package it all up, you send it to him. Next thing you know, you get a picture from the guy and he says, you broke my block. His little ear's broken off. And you're like, oh my God, we didn't take a picture. Something's missing, something like that. We see everything. I've been there, done that, and I'm sure that there's going to be some things that I've never seen that are going to happen. But being in this industry for as long as I have, I've seen a lot of dumb shit with packaging, and it happens too much.
Yeah. It's something that, in the grand scheme of things, is such a minor cost.
Right.
But okay, so then the last part of the process, and we've covered a lot of how you build engines and how you're doing the machining and your steps through doing all that. But another issue that comes up quite often is payments, taking payment from customers, right? So we all deal with this issue. I've got one right now that owes me a couple grand, and I know he's not ever going to pay me. But what are some typical issues you see with collecting payment for yourself? And I know in particular you said you've had rush jobs that people are like, I need this tomorrow, and you do it, and then they don't pay you for 3 months. And so how does that affect your schedule, and why do people need to realize that rushing somebody screws everybody? Like, it's not just you, it screws your entire customer base because everybody has to deal with it.
The way we prefer payments is when if we say, hey, here's your job, it's $5,000. 3,000 of that is parts, 2,000 is labor. We want all the parts, all of them.
Up front to get started.
Up front. And then we want 50% of the labor. Okay. And then, that keeps everybody at bay. We're going to call you and tell you when your job's going to be done. Mm-hmm. Because we schedule it in, everybody wants you to schedule it. Wait, when can you get this done in 2 weeks? We don't have any of the parts. Yeah, I could do it in 2 weeks from the day I have everything in my hands. Yes, I can do that. But we get all the money for the parts. We get 50% of the labor. When we work with shops, most shops are sending us all the componentry. So what ends up happening is we tell them that we'd like to have 50% of the labor up front. Some of them are like, man, we're big enough. Don't you worry. When you're done with that thing, we're gonna send you that check immediately. Their immediate and my immediate definitions must be a little different. I mean, when I say, hey, man, we're gonna assemble your block and it's gonna be ready for pickup tomorrow or ready for shipping tomorrow, that means I'd like to get paid, tomorrow,
right?
or maybe the day after, not.
30 days,
I don't like
whatever.
I don't like chasing it down.
Yeah.
Okay. Sometimes we make deals. If you pay us by the end of the day, or the end of business hours today, we'll go ahead and give you that price. There might be an alternative motive going on there. Maybe Howard's buying a $20,000 machine and would like to put that $5,000 down on it. That labor on there, and we might already have your job done on the shelf. And that's why we've made that decision to lower the price for you for $500. It might be an in-stock item, but we'd like to get the payment when we talk about the payment. And that's a little difficult. It's been, I'm not going to say that I'm not 100% free from making a payment. I've had my fair share in the past, where I've been in everybody's shoes. But what I like to do nowadays is ask if they're sure they're going to handle it. You can handle it. You sure? Yes. Okay. All right. And then typically when it doesn't work out, they get put on the blacklist. Blacklist means we don't do shit till we're paid.
Yep.
We don't touch anything We don't care what kind of rush you're in. Your stuff can sit in a corner and rot. We're not going to touch it. We're going to work on other people's stuff because Kevin has a fistful of money. You know,
I wish I had a fistful of money.
You know, this shop's got a fistful of money. This shop's got a fistful of money, and that's what they're doing.
But I do pay you when you ask. I pay you when you ask.
Yes, yeah. You know, there is that going on, and but then there's the other ones, and it's part of business. You know, you sometimes you get a little crazy about it because you had to take the money out of your own pocket because you were doing something to better the company and you needed that cash flow for a tool or some sort. Now you got to take the money out of your own pocket.
Right.
So now you might say some things you really don't mean to people you do business with. You know, sometimes you got to apologize for being an asshole. And I've done that. You know, he knows who he is. I love you, man.
What's something you struggle with in business and how are you dealing with it?
You telling me that you got a block on the way, Howard. Howard, I got it on the way, and I'm going to need you to turn it around as fast as you possibly can. All right, Kevin, we don't have the sleeves in stock, so we probably ought to get the sleeves in stock. That's going to take like a week. I'm placing an order for other people's sleeves today, so if you can hurry up and pay your deposit, we'll get this on our order. This way the sleeves will be here when your block gets here. You know, and then the block doesn't arrive, the payment didn't arrive, and I ordered some sleeves. Now I'm out money because I was trying to do you a favor. A lot of shops, you know, they call you and they tell you, hey, you know, I got 3 or 4 blocks, you know, we're getting them ready. We're getting them ready. We're getting them ready. We're getting them ready. And then, you know, you look on their Instagram or their Facebook, and then for some reason they used some other machine shop. You know, and they drug that on for a month, you know, and then they're asking for prices. And then I got this guy that wastes my time at least twice a year about GM blocks, sleeving. And the last time that I was a complete asshole to him. I try to be nice with everybody. I give everybody pricing, you know, but when you're you know, what parts should we use in this? You know, what should we do? How do we do this? You know, and then it doesn't pan out. It's a bunch of wasted time.
Yep.
You know, when you call me and say, Howard, I need a price really quick, man. You know, I'm getting ready to box this thing up. You know, I drop everything and I'm helping you, and I'm yelling over to Brandy, asking Brandy to give me pricing. So she stops what she's doing, runs over to the computer, starts getting prices. You know, then we write some notes down on the stainless steel table. You know, you've been here, you've seen those. We got notes everywhere. We write a bunch of notes. We get some prices together. We hand it over to that person. We take a picture of that, and then we get back to the picture later. We put it in the system. This way it's there as an estimate. And we never hear back from the person. And it's a shop, and it's somebody that I know. And then later on, we see the build getting done somewhere else. So it wastes time. Time. That's what I struggle. I struggle with people who want to waste time and not actually do the build, not actually do the job.
I've got a couple of those here too.
You know, it happens.
You talked about what you plan on doing for 2018. Do you have a 5-year plan? Like, do you have like a further out plan for the business?
What happens is it's a 3-year plan when you do a 3-year lease, and then it's a 5-year plan when it's a 5-year lease. So the plan changes. And what I've noticed about the plan is working. Slow, gradual growth, period. That's it. We're 15% every year since 2010.
Okay.
Every year, the business increases 15%. We put more people on staff, you know, expenses increase 15%, staffing, you know, employment, all that's increasing. Gross revenue is increasing, and the profit is increasing 15%.
Well, that's good. That's what you want to grow.
And exactly. And it's just slow and steady. I've had people come in and say, move your shop into a better location. You know, you're out here in the middle of nowhere. Man, people ship things from all over the world to me. I don't need to move closer to you. You know, you can ship, you can drive it. If you don't want to, find the next shop. It's okay. I'm okay without your business if you feel that I need to move to get in a better location. But moving to a much larger location is a large investment. I have a fairly decent investment here. I own it. I don't owe the banks on this thing. I mean, obviously I owe on my house and my property, but this building is it's handled. The equipment that's inside of it, a lot of the equipment inside is paid for. Mm-hmm. Just the newer stuff is on lease. But the plan is, if I don't buy any more equipment this year, I'm on a 3-year plan. Meaning, at the end of 3 years, I'm done with my fixed your equipment leases. Right. Uh-huh. Right, and I know what that number is per month, and I know what that number is per year.
Okay.
And
so when that's done, you're making a substantial amount of money.
Yeah, I know what's up,
And you have the equipment paid off, so you can sell it when you decide to not do it anymore, right?
Right.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat as you. I'm working towards paying off everything by the end of next year. So I've got it's really like about a 15-month plan right now.
Yeah.
Sadly, right now it keeps me strapped for money, but then as everything's paid off, you make it faster and faster. It seems like, but.
Right, and that's something we have done. We've paid off leases, and it's like, oh wow, look, things are getting paid off faster. All right, let's go get a big lease. Go get a CNC machine and a $100,000 CNC machine and a $50,000 home. Let's go do that. Poof! Now we got a bunch of money. Oh, we're paying it off, but we're still making money. That's the thing. If you're not making money, then you got a problem. And you shouldn't be taking on equipment purchases like that.
Right.
I like to, and one of the things that comes with these big pieces of equipment is the tooling. You buy a piece of equipment, the tooling is what kills you. You don't realize that when you look at the account for tooling that we have in our QuickBooks, at the end of the year, you have consumables. So you have things that you wear out, like inserts. But, when you're buying a particular tool that is just this small little tool that's $1,000 or something, that's an asset. So when you look at those assets, that these tools that you're buying, you don't realize how much you bought because, a couple hundred here, a couple hundred there, 1,000 here, a couple thousand there. That adds up at the end of the year, and then you're looking at an account and you're like, holy shit, we spent $130,000 on tools. We shouldn't need tools, but because we're constantly progressing with what we do, we buy more tools. But yeah, the 5-year plan is, the engine dyno and the seat and guide machine, and we're pretty much done at that. I mean, there'll be some other smaller things in between there, some smaller piece of equipment, but we're pretty much with those items, we'll be in-house. Full in-house, 100% in-house, and awesome. We won't rely on anybody else for anything else. There you go. That'll be exciting. And then at the end of 5 years,
see what's next.
See what's next. It might not be what I want to do anymore. I might want to sell this off to the guys that work for it, or work here.
So let's move on to the quick answer questions here. What's a game-changing product you've seen in the last year?
For me, in what we got going on here, direct injection is a game changer. It's our game changer, and that's one of the main reasons why I want the engine dyno is for direct injection R&D, and I think it's changing a lot of things, the way you have to do things with the machining processes and how you set up an engine.
Okay.
So yeah, I believe direct injection is a game-changing deal for the entire industry.
What's your favorite shop tool then?
I like the CNC, the vertical mill.
Okay.
I like it when somebody asks me to modify or make some little stupid little part for something that's unrelated to what I do for a living. Because that's what I was doing over at the job shop. I was, taking a blueprint and making some little, I don't know what the hell it is part. So I like doing that and create a fix to the problem for the future. And that is what I feel is the key to all of this, is to being successful in this industry, is when you do have your failure, you got to own up to it. You know, if you've done it, you own up to it, but you also got to look at it from many angles. And that's part of my, you know, my dealing with time wasters is everyone contacts me to figure out what happened. Everyone. Even the guys that don't send me the business, that send it to the other guy, and you know who you are. You contact me and you ask me to solve your problem or help you out. And, you know, it wouldn't be a waste of time if we did some work for you, you know, for that person, excuse me. But yeah, doing the failure analysis is something that I like to do.
Okay, back to our quick answer questions. What kind of car are you driving right now?
Oh, well, it's winter, so I'll be putting my 2001 Subaru RS 2.5 with no rust on the quarter panels, I might add, away for the winter, because I won't drive it in the winter, and I'll be driving my 2016 F350
the diesel
Ford for the winter.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the big trucks.
All right. And
I like it as a good family vehicle. You know, you don't have to worry about getting run off the road by everybody.
And what do you think of the future of automotive performance is going to be?
The future of automotive performance is going to be direct injection.
Okay. Yeah, it's definitely getting that way.
Right.
Although I guess I'm still stuck in old Evos, so we're still port injection.
You know.
Eventually, I'll have to move on to something else, but we'll see. Maybe that time will never happen. And how do we connect with you and your company?
Well, you can contact us via email at sales@arfabrication.com.
Okay.
You can contact us at Darton East at darton-international.com.
Okay.
You can look me up on Instagram, which would be Engine Militia.
Okay.
And I'm also on Facebook as Howard at ARFab.
Awesome. Well, Howard, I really appreciate you taking the time and sharing with us how you deal with all the engine stuff. I understand this is such a hard market to be in because you guys get blamed for a lot of stuff. So, but
right.
So, yeah, thanks again for taking some time.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Do It for a Living. You can find out more about this guest, this show, and even details about what we just talked about at our website, doitforaliving.net. Check out the Facebook page at facebook.com/doitforaliving and tell us who you want to hear from. And most importantly, subscribe to the podcast. Click subscribe. Do it now. Seriously. I'll wait while you grab your phone. Open up the podcast app. Tap the subscribe button. When you subscribe, you help us gain momentum and attract more